Hey guys, TacticalOyster here, bringing you guys 3-bar exploits number 43, I think, with Bondfire and Whackmed and Archaic. How's everybody doing today?
Doing well. It's a nice, beautiful morning here on the west side, so I'm happy.
Oh wow, that was a much more detailed answer than I was expecting, but I'm glad the weather's going well out there. That's good to know. Oh man, okay. Gotta thank the sponsors to start things off. Shout out to Strictly Business Gaming, of course, our sponsor every week. They're doing a great job. Niagara was last weekend, right?
Yeah.
And they did pretty well, if I'm not mistaken.
Very respectable.
Yeah. So, they're doing pretty well right now, it seems like, and things are going well for them. So shout out to them for helping us make the show possible. Shout out to cinchgaming.com. Go to cinchgaming.com. The link will be in the description, and use the coupon code 3BAR for 5% off. So, are we going to jump into... You know what? I'm just going to dictate that we're jumping into draft talk first.
Can I, before we get there, do you follow Cinch on Twitter?
I did.
I understand this is their self-promotion, but there is a growing movement of people moving to Cinch controllers because not only are they cheaper than Scuff, but people are loving the buttons rather than the paddles. I'm just saying, before you go dropping money, I know Scuff is like the industry trade name for controllers now. It seems to be like, if you want an aftermarket controller, you're going to say the word Scuff, whether you mean that or not. Anyway, 3-bar exploit, coupon code 3BAR, get your controller. It's worth it.
Yes, it is worth it.
I've heard a lot of talk about Cinch, actually, and I think that's going to be my next controller. I have a Scuff for the 360, but I want to give Cinch a chance. I like the button placement when I've been looking at them.
I want to start off draft talk by saying, I'm sorry, Bonfire interrupted.
No, I was just going to say, I think the buttons is a very interesting concept, just because, one, it's an actual button, which we're all used to, and the placement seems to be where those fingers would go anyways, instead of on the back of the controller where the paddles go. So, yeah, I think it's kind of cool.
I want to tell Oyster to be very careful with Kelvin Benjamin. We've done good things with him here. We've worked hard with Kelvin Benjamin. He's an awesome player.
Your receiver coach is average at best, and our receiver coach is a former All-Pro player.
I am handing you an all-star player. Be good to him.
You're handing us a guy who has a lot of physical tools, but also had the second highest drop rate of any receiver in this draft, and had a majority of his production in the second half of his senior season, and up to that point was considered a disappointment. Ricky Prohl, former Wake Forest All-ACC wide receiver, who is now the Panthers wide receiver coach.
If you don't want him, give him back. Okay, we'll
make him into an elite receiver.
If you don't want him, give him back.
I want him. I'm just saying, don't act like Florida State made this great player and now we're inheriting him.
There's a reason you chose him first.
He's an average receiver who has incredible physical ability.
Your team is so stupid they took an average player first?
My team is so smart that they saw a player who physically has the potential to be one of the top 5 receivers in the league. But from a wide receiver fundamental... Look, you cannot deny that he's a poor route runner and drops a lot of passes. And those are two pretty important things for wide receivers, fundamentally.
He's the highest. He's got the highest grade of anyone you picked on your entire team that Carolina picked.
At that spot, and we need a receiver.
No, overall. He's got a 6.1. The next is a 5.8, 5.5, 5.1, 5.2, 5.2.
I just want to make an argument that all the combine and draft stats, they don't mean that much.
They do not. You are correct.
Hey, Whack, I've got to call you out. In pre-show, you said that your Buccaneers didn't get any good players?
Well, I haven't. Now, granted, I've only watched rounds 1 through 3, and I wasn't impressed with the players they got.
Who was their number 7 pick?
Their number 1 pick was Mike Evans out of Texas A&M, which happened to be one of the best receivers in the draft.
Do you don't have anybody to throw to him, though?
I feel like...
What's he going to do? Is the center going to throw him the ball?
Did the Buccaneers pick a quarterback in the later rounds?
Let me pull up.
I'm pulling it up.
I feel like they did, but I could be wrong. And I can't open links where I am right now because I'm actually recording today as the backup recording, and because of my screen region capturing, I can't open anything. I don't know how Whackman to pull it off. So,
Because I got two screens.
Monitors.
They-
Dual
Oh, two
monitors.
monitors, that's right.
They picked a wide receiver in the first, a tight end in the second, a running back in the third, an offensive guard in the fifth, an offensive tackle in the fifth, and a wide receiver in the sixth.
And that means we still don't have a quarterback.
I'm gonna stick up for Mike Glennon here. And what I'm gonna say is that it's too early to make a call on Mike Glennon.
Who's Glennon?
Your quarterback. You don't even know who the team's quarterback is, and you
He's
claim
that
he's
bad? Is he that bad? Manziel went
Whack-
like pick 22. We could have got him. I mean, he'd have
Whack,
been better.
I want to say,
He's not a
Whack,
good
I want to
quarterback
say that
either.
living in Florida doesn't mean you can just claim to be a Tampa Bay fan when you don't even watch the team.
It's hard to watch them. They're blacked out all the time because nobody shows up to the games.
I'm calling bullcrap on your Tampa Bay fandom right now.
Look,
You didn't know-
but they've changed quarterbacks
Whether-
3 times last year, and I can't
if you
watch
don't-
the games.
Living in the Tampa Bay region generally, which is not even where you live exactly, does not make you a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan by default.
They're only 5 hours away.
How close is Atlanta?
5.5, 6 hours away.
So you could be an Atlanta fan too. You don't have to claim Tampa Bay.
I'm not going to be a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I respect myself too much for that.
I feel like they signed someone in the offseason to another quarterback. I feel like they've acquired a quarterback of some kind. They got Josh McCown. That's who they got. You guys do have a quarterback. There you
Point
go.
out, Seattle had 9 picks in the draft.
Go look at how many the Cowboys had.
Wow.
Jerry picked like half of the frickin' seventh.
You know, this is a fun Texas stat for
One, two,
even though he's not a Texas fan, but archaic. This year was the first draft since 1937 that no Texas Longhorns were drafted.
Really?
They suck.
Wow.
The Longhorns suck this year. I'll
That's
be
so
honest.
Yeah,
shocking,
didn't they tell
though.
the coach to leave?
You don't
Yeah,
have
they
to,
kicked him. They kicked him the fuck out.
Coach out.
you don't have to have a good team to have a couple draft prospects, though.
It's true.
I mean, Wake Forest has gotten a player drafted like each of the last 5 years.
Florida had a guy. Florida had a guy drafted. Man.
Well, none of our quarterbacks, all our quarterbacks stayed, and I think all our wide receivers stayed. I don't think we had many people even enter the draft this year
I want to say
because
that
they had such a bad season last year.
Seattle
Although we
had
did
a
beat
pretty
OU,
strong-
so it was an okay season.
Seattle had a pretty strong draft.
Tampa Bay, I think, you know what? Since Wack just keeps dumping on Tampa Bay, the team that he's a fan of yet knows nothing about, I think I'm scared of Tampa Bay as a Panthers fan next season.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah. Dude, you have Josh McCown. He's a good quarterback. You're going to have Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans lining up on opposite sides of the ball, plus a newly drafted tight end, if I'm not mistaken.
Austin Safarian Jenkins from Washington.
And you still got Doug Martin in the backfield. Like, that offense is going to be scary good next year if McCown plays like he did last year.
Seattle had a really strong draft. They had 8 or 9 picks. They took they put 3 people in the 4th round.
They had a lot of top
They
picks.
traded down. They traded down from the first round pick, and they got a couple more picks because that's when the Vikings traded up to get Bridgewater.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
got Kevin Norwood from Alabama in the 4th round. He went a really long time. I feel like this was a really wide receiver strong draft this year.
It was. That was by far the strongest position.
You know, I saw it, and this kind of has something to do with the draft because I know Brandon Cooks from Oregon State got drafted. But I saw a YouTube video that popped up, like, because he got drafted by the Saints, right?
I do believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, because they posted his video. He wore a GoPro during practice at OSU, and it was just kind of cool to just see him run his routes, take handoffs, catch passes and stuff while wearing a GoPro. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, he was.
I now have to hate him though because he plays for the Saints. So
That's fair.
I'm
He's a
gonna
dude.
have to not be friends. Yeah, I'm not too much on the Saints. I think that what they accomplished without their head coach for a year and in maintaining a pretty decent level of skill, that's a strong representation for them. But,
the Saints they're my number 1 most despised professional sports team.
Wow,
really.
that's saying something.
Yeah.
You got a cocky coach. You have a tight end who's a complete d-bag, for lack of a better term. and they're good a lot, and I don't like that either.
Is the coach
Are you
that
talking
cocky?
about Graham?
Graham, yes.
I didn't think their coach was that cocky. I think
He's so
Sean
cocky,
Payton
he did
is
he
really cocky.
He onside kicked out of the half at the Super Bowl, and then he pulled a similar maneuver on the Panthers last season that didn't work. I forget what he did exactly, but it was another, like, I'm going to do this because I wish I could remember what it was, but I remember everybody freaked out when it happened, and I don't remember what exactly it was. But it was another one of those moves like that where I'm so much better than you that I'm going to do something that makes no sense, and it's going to work for me.
Now, when Les Miles does that, he's the Mad Hatter. He's just so insanely brilliant for pulling that out.
No, I'd say, well,
Sean Payton does that, and you're going to hate or give him grief for it?
Have you ever heard of my opinion of Les Miles? How do you know I don't think the same thing of Les Miles?
I'm taking your opinion and mixing it with popular opinion.
Well, popular opinion on Sean Payton, I wouldn't say is that he's cocky for most people.
Popular opinion would be that he's cocky, but not that he's a bad coach.
And popular opinion can be wrong, too.
Anytime it disagrees with mine, I think you're correct, and that popular opinion is definitely wrong.
I think popular opinion on Sean Payton is not that he's cocky. However, I think he clearly is.
Popular opinion said that Johnny Manziel was going to go in the first 3 or 4 picks, if not first, and it didn't.
He wasn't even picked. He wasn't picked to go till 10.
Well,
depending on whose draft you looked at.
The last 2 weeks prior to the draft, I rarely saw him projected to go top 8. I think people really fell off on how much they liked him as the draft process wore on, because I think they realized what I've known since halfway through his senior season, which is that he will be a complete bust in the NFL, and he will be out of the league in 3 years. And I'm making those statements on the record. Johnny Manziel will be out of the league. I'll say 5 years. He'll be out of the league.
On what basis?
On what basis of poor play.
Injury? Oh, not injury.
No, on the basis of poor play.
A basis of poor play? What are you basing that on?
Coupled with that,
injury, I could see
him being released because he can't do
positions.
It. Like Christian Ponder was released because of lack of skill. His contract wasn't renewed.
I think injuries could be a part of it, but I think his injuries will be due to the way he plays the game poorly.
Johnny Manziel plays good football when he's about to get destroyed. Well, that's not good enough, because when you get destroyed in the NFL, you get really destroyed. It's not like some guys who are...
And all those windows that are this big in college that he gets through and he barely escapes by, they are this big in the NFL, as in non-existent. Right. So that's not going to work. And he improvises too much. He won't... In the NFL, everything is supposed to be... Execution is so important. Everything's supposed to happen an exact certain way to make a play successful. If you do not, you can't improvise and come up. Sure, will it work once a game? Maybe. Sure, will it work twice a game? Maybe it will. But you cannot get by like that in the NFL, and especially a guy of his size. It's just not. It's not going to work out for him. I don't think
size is not a factor. Size is not a factor.
Size is a factor.
Look at the guy that won the Super Bowl last year.
Size is a factor with Manziel because of the way he plays the game. If you're a 6
Who says he's not going to play the game? Who says he's not going to play the game differently? It's proven that
Tebow didn't play the game differently.
Play the game the way he played in college, he'll be awful because he can't be a pocket passer. He's not good at that. So he'll either change the way he plays and suck, or he will not change the way he plays and he will still suck, but he'll also get hurt.
You're seeing the outro. You're seeing the outro of the pocket passer, by the way. There's not many.
No, you're not.
He's not big enough.
Not many people excel at pocket passing anymore.
He's not big enough to be Ben Roethlisberger, but that's his style of play.
No, they're not. They're losing Super Bowls.
Because one year, really. Because of one game, where Russell Wilson beat Peyton Manning, even though Russell Wilson had a better supporting cast for the most part. That means that the pocket passer.
Peyton Manning had the best offense in the league.
Yes, and Russell Wilson had the best defense in the league and one of the best running games in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll agree with that on the record.
I will agree with that.
And a better coach. So
see, I'm not familiar with Seattle's coach, so like I really don't like Pete Carroll, so.
I like John Fox. John Fox is a really good coach, but he's not as good as Pete Carroll.
I haven't followed Pete Carroll much since he's been in the NFL. I didn't like him at UCLA, mainly because he ditched out when they got suspended But
Yeah, when that was all coming down the pipe. He's another arrogant guy. Maybe. I get that slight impression. Whack and Bondfire, what do you think of Manziel? Predict Manziel's future on the spot.
I think that Manziel's a lot like Michael Vick. When Michael Vick is healthy, and in certain situations he does really well, but he can't stay healthy because when he's being the best quarterback he can be, he's more prone to injury, and I think that's why Manziel winds up getting in trouble in the NFL as far as longevity of career trouble. They had a really good highlight reel leading up to the draft, showing the difference in Bortles and Manziel. And Bortles is textbook in all of the things that he does. And whereas his skill level of perfection may not be fully realized yet, he's got all of the fundamentals in place to be a really good, textbook good quarterback. Manziel is only doing good when he's in trouble. And if you're in trouble that often, just like you see with Eli Manning, just like you see with Michael Vick, some with Ben Roethlisberger here, he's getting old and he's getting in trouble. There are other quarterbacks that they thrive whenever they're in bad situations, but they can't stay healthy for long enough to be that huge help to the team. And since the offense is built around them, when they go down, the next quarterback has such a different style that the adjustments are difficult to make.
Well, theoretically, you'd like to get backups that have a similar style, but
right.
that doesn't always happen.
And as far as form goes, with Manziel having that form, you can look recently to Tim Tebow having a very aberrant form to everyone else, and it did not work for him. And I think very similar to Tim Tebow, the skill level is there for college, and you're great. It's not there for NFL. Well,
Tim Tebow was a running back that played quarterback. I mean, let's just call it what it is. The dude can't.
I don't even want to call him a running back. He's a fullback that played quarterback.
That's closer, yeah.
Bondfire?
I think, yeah, Bondfire, what do you think?
Well, I didn't see Manziel play too much in college. I mean, you guys did more so because of the SEC and stuff. I mean, we don't see that too often over here. But I mean, I did see his highlights and things like that. I don't know how. I do agree with the injury problems that I can see him having that based on his style. I mean, we've seen that. I mean, look at RG3. It's the last season he was just injury prone because he did some things he shouldn't have, and he put himself in some situations that he shouldn't have, and wasn't smart about it. So I can definitely see that happening. I'm more interested to see. I don't know how good the offensive line is for the Browns. And I don't know the Browns team very well. So I'm really interested to see. Go ahead.
They're horrible for quarterbacks. 20 quarterbacks in the past 20 years.
What was their record last year? They're not a strong team.
I know they're not a good team, but I mean...
But very few of the quarterbacks were supposed to be good quarterbacks.
A good offensive line and things like that, so...
Oh, yeah, they drafted Colt McCoy, and that was stupid of them.
Okay, well, here's a bad omen for Manziel.
I think I know what stat you're going to spit out.
The number 22 draft pick stat. Yes, for those of you who don't know, the last two quarterbacks selected by the Browns at the number 22 slot in the draft were Whedon and Brady Quinn, and they were both god awful. So,
and they're
hopefully
they're not around anymore.
And they were strong in college. They were
Whedon actually.
Well,
Whedon's still in
Cowboys now.
Yeah, we traded for him or signed him, one of the two.
I didn't think Whedon was terrible, but
I don't think he's terrible. He's a backup quarterback. Yeah. He's a backup quarterback.
Regarding Manziel, I'm more interested to see if he can. This goes to all players who come across a situation where their college play style doesn't translate in the NFL that well, and makes them successful. I'm more interested to see if he can tailor his game to play at an NFL level. Because, I mean, to me, that's a good sign of an athlete in being able to modify your game and learn new things and still play at a high level.
A&M ran a very high-risk, high-reward offense, though.
Yeah.
They also ran the non-existent defense, but go ahead.
That's only because they play in the SEC, but you saw what a good quarterback can do to the SEC, so... Hell, according to you, you saw what a mediocre quarterback could do to the SEC.
Who? And
Manziel.
Manziel's not a mediocre college quarterback, though. He's a great college quarterback. He will be a very bad NFL quarterback. It's two different games.
I don't think
two
he'll be
games.
I'm not going to say he'll be bad yet. He could be, but like Bondfire said, he could change his play style a little bit to suit the NFL much better. He could.
Obviously, we have no way of knowing yet, but I predict
Tebow
I think Ebron could do that. I mean, it's all about work ethic and how committed you are.
No, Tebow couldn't throw. That's the problem. Manziel at least can throw the football.
He also didn't try to learn.
Tebow's left-handed.
He also wouldn't accept trying to play tight end or fullback or something.
Which is why he's no longer as a player in general.
That's
exactly. If he would have changed his game and tailored his play style, maybe that means going to a different position. He might have been more successful.
He would not have been a successful quarterback at the tight end position, though. I thought that was the point you were making.
No. That's where my sympathy for Tim Tebow stopped. I was never on the Tim Tebow bandwagon. I always, hoped the guy did well. I mean, I hope most people do well in the NFL. I hope most players do well. The only players that I hope don't do well are the ones that I think are bad people. If I think you're a good guy and you've worked hard to get where you are, then regardless of who you play for, where you came from, what position you play, I hope you have a successful career. That's how I felt about Tebow, although I wasn't a big supporter or anything. I didn't think he was good. When I stopped having sympathy for Tim Tebow and stopped quote-unquote rooting for Tim Tebow was when all these teams said, okay, you can play tight end or you can play fullback or whatever, you can play these other positions and get a spot on the team. And he said, no, I want to play quarterback. I'm like a little kid in the backyard. I'm not going to play if I don't get to play quarterback. I'm going to take my ball and go home unless you guys let me play quarterback. It's like a whiny little kid. If you have the chance to play in the NFL, and you always talk about it's your dream to play in the NFL, but you only want to play quarterback even though you're awful at quarterback, then... well, that sucks for you. You can stay out of the league.
I agree.
That's where my sympathy stopped for Tim Tebow.
What about your thoughts on Jadeveon Clowney taking off plays and still being picked first in the draft?
I would have traded out of the pick if I were the Texans. But
I would have done the same if I was the Texans. But I don't think he necessarily needed to play this season. He could have went pro last season if he was allowed to.
But does it not concern you a little bit that
not necessarily because he was hurt.
That a guy doesn't love the game enough that he's going to say, no, I'm going to keep playing because I love the game of football and I want to win and I want to help my team. Does that not concern you a little bit?
You expect everyone to love the game they're playing rather than just be exceedingly good at the game they're playing and use it as a way to make money.
No, and here's the thing. You've got all those professional MLG Call of Duty players that are playing right now a game they do not love, and they are trying hard at it, and they're grinding as hard as they can, and we thank Strictly Business for putting up good teams that do that. But you don't have to love the game you're playing, but you do have to work really hard and put something into it every single day.
And it's also, let's also not act like loving the game is not a quality that's desired. Yet, yes, you can say that, okay, he doesn't have to love the game to be a good player. That's completely true. But if you're drafting someone number one overall, you want as many positive qualities as you can get, and loving the game would be one of those. And that, I think it's the important one because it shows how hard somebody's going to work in the future. How do you know that if he does not love football, how do you know that when he gets it after he plays 3-4 seasons, I think four seasons plus one team option, so 5 seasons at most on his rookie contract, and he's doing well and he's putting up big numbers. How do you know he's not going to get his big contract and then he's just going to quit because he doesn't love the game if he's playing it for money? That's my concern.
Look at Andrew Bynum in the NBA. He doesn't love basketball.
Bynum was a head case, too.
Well, sure. I mean, he doesn't love basketball, but he was good at it, and he got some fat paydays from it, and that's what it was all about.
Some what?
He got
some what?
Fat paydays.
Okay, that's not what I heard.
Oh, well, that's what I said.
Do you guys remember Albert Hainsworth?
That name sounds super familiar.
Yeah, he was
a defensive
Washington
tackle.
Redskins.
He was a defensive tackle for the Titans and the Redskins.
Oh, God.
Oh, the chat is funny. But he was a defensive tackle for the Titans and the Redskins, and he was extremely good for several years. And then he got a huge free agent deal, like I think like the highest paid defensive player in the NFL, like over $100 million contract. And he went, I believe, is when he went to the Redskins on this contract, and he basically came into training camp like 30 pounds overweight and was never effective again in his career. But once he got that payday, he stopped trying. I'm concerned that Jadeveon Clowney goes down that same path because he clearly, I don't think you can make the argument that he loves the game of football.
He was also hurt. He was hurt.
Everybody's hurt in football to some extent by the time you get halfway through the season.
The reason Clowney had issues was gastroenteritis, and then he had bone spurs. And it's like, you know what? Bone spurs, you can't deal with that. Gastroenteritis is nearly controllable based on what you eat. Now, I understand there's more to it than that, but you've got people that will have doctors that will lay out your complete diet for you during this season. Gastroenteritis should not become a problem. It's basically an upset stomach. You're playing with a tummy ache.
And everybody gets hurt in football. Everybody has some kind of nagging injury or, a nick here or there or whatever by the time you get halfway through a college or NFL football season. It's just the way it works. You ask every NFL or college player I've seen ever in any kind of interview about the subject always says that. That's why there's a difference in the NFL in football, I guess, between saying you're injured or you're hurt. Because everybody gets hurt, but if you're injured, it's more significant and you maybe can't play. Whereas if you're hurt, everybody gets hurt. So I don't buy that.
Does anybody question whether or not he is the best college football player at his position?
I would rather, it's not the same exact position, outside linebacker versus defensive end, but I would have picked, I would have rather had Khalil Mack than Clowney. And I think he was the better college football player than Jadeveon Clowney, and I think he'll be the better pro player.
I don't know much about Mack. Who did he?
He played for Buffalo. He went number 5 overall
I know who you're talking about.
To the Raiders, and he is considered the best, production-wise, the best defensive player this season. And people don't know that as much as you want to praise Clowney's athleticism, Khalil Mack ran an identical 40 time and had 3 inches higher on his vertical jump than Clowney did. And
but they play slightly different positions.
They do play slightly different positions, but as far as overall defensive player, I would rather have Khalil Mack.
That's what I was explaining. My dad doesn't watch any NFL, and so I was talking to him about the draft, and it's like, yeah, the first position is important because generally it either goes to the best person for the position you absolutely have to have, or just the overall best player in college football. Mm-hmm. And whereas the Heisman's never going to go to a defensive end, it's never going to go to an offensive tackle, but the best player, according to the NFL draft and my assertion, the best player in all of college football this year was a defensive end. His name was Jadeveon Clowney, and that's because of the last 3 years he's played football. He has absolutely dominated the opposing team, so much so that every offensive play they called was either threatened by him, stopped by him, or ran away from him, chosen to avoid him from the onset. And he's just that much of a beast. Do you agree or disagree with the assertion that the first player taken in the draft is most of the time, if not based on that need, the absolute best player in college football at whatever position?
As I've said, I think it's,
normally, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would alter the statement slightly to say the player that is projected to be the best pro out of college. Because you could argue that Tim Tebow was the best college football player the year he got drafted.
Oh, gosh, no.
And the best college football player, yes. I mean, he carried his team to one. Did he win 2 national championships or one?
It's not important. It's Florida. I hate them.
And he also won a Heisman. So you could argue that Tim Tebow was the best college football player in the country those years, but wasn't projected to be the best pro. Although Jadeveon Clowney can be both. So
I would like to point out before we transition to another topic how much different this Bondfire is than the one that talks about basketball. Only because I pointed out, is it the last 3-bar exploits or the one before that, how animated and how much love you have for how
I love basketball, man. That's my sport.
Yeah, is it the Pacers up there that you're so
Trailblazers.
Oh God, it's not
Trailblazers.
That's what I said. Blazers.
No, you said Pacers.
Dang it.
That is in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's a ways away.
But it's like he's bombastic and very, very kinetic in his delivery, and now he's like, I'll abide this conversation. I'll put in any input that I have. I'll be glad when they change topics.
Well,
I love it, dude. It's awesome.
Like, I'm not going to speak on something I'm not very knowledgeable of, and frankly, I don't follow the NFL close enough to know a lot of these guys, and I didn't follow the draft. I mean, I see some updates and things like that, and what's going on in articles, but it's nothing that I know in depth about, especially the players. And a lot of you get anyone that's mostly outside the Pac-12. I've probably heard of, but I haven't seen him play.
I was thumbs-upping your showmanship. Good job, sir. Very well done.
Well, thank you. I will say though, it was kind of cool last night at the basketball game. Russell Wilson was there, so it was kind of cool to see him, like actually in person. Dude's jacked. It's ridiculous. And he's only like 2 inches taller than me, or like an inch taller.
Already, your countenance has changed. You're just talking about a round ball, and he's already got this bigger smile. I love it.
It is. All right, random question time.
Ooh.
What would be the scariest creature on Earth if you were to increase its size? And this comes from Reddit.
Scorpion.
Ooh, that's a good answer.
Really?
If you get nearby it could kill you. Like, whether or not the sting was poisonous or not, it could just smash you. You're just done.
It depends on how much you're increasing its size.
See,
that's a good point.
You always got to ask the second question. No one ever just rolls with the top.
Yeah, because there's the thing.
There's always follow-up questions.
When I said scorpion, how big was it? It was about the size of a tank, right? Somewhere just a little bit bigger than a tank?
That's what
you
Wack
envisioned?
was going with.
That's what I'm going with? That's a formidable foe. Yeah, if it's the size of a small dog, I'm just scared of it. It's not going to kill me.
Let's say all animals become tank-sized.
Okay.
Like the size of an army tank. That's the size all these animals become.
Any animal on Earth?
Anything that's bigger than a tank is not an applicable answer.
Wow.
I'm still
spider.
A spider.
I would say
it needs a tail. It needs a scorpion tail, man.
The way 8 legs just crawling around, because I imagine the body is as big as this tank, and then you put legs on that thing.
Yeah, good point.
The thing's gonna walk over just anything and everything it wants, and then its fangs are gonna be bigger than your leg, and it's just gonna look at you with those beady eyes, and it's bad news all over it.
And remember, Bondfire doesn't like bugs.
I do not like bugs, aka
well
critters.
Established. I'm going with a hornet or something
Ironic.
in the bee family.
That is kind of ironic. I started laughing as soon as he said it.
Yes, I have a hornet shirt on. I didn't even realize that until just now. But like a hornet or a wasp or something of that nature. Because
I almost picked that.
Have you seen like the face, like a close up of like a face of like a hornet or a wasp or something before, like a picture? Like, if you haven't, you need to Google, because like they look quite frightening. Yes, I can't. If a tank-sized wasp came like near me, I would probably just like freak out.
I'm not so scared. I feel like I could shoot that down. Like, if that was an everyday thing that you had to worry about, you're carrying a shotgun to everywhere you go to defend yourself. I feel like that you could take a wasp out.
You're not at all concerned by the fact that you now have to carry a shotgun everywhere you go for self-defense against natural creatures?
No.
The thing is,
no.
This thing's airborne, and it can walk around.
It is till it meets my shotgun.
That's why he said shotgun.
No, I
What do you shoot with a shotgun?
Airborne thing.
I know, I understand that,
but what if there's like 8 of them and they all
nowhere.
come swarming down from the sky at the same time?
I hope you have a tactical shotgun.
I'm not thinking there's 8 of them. I mean, that's too much contingency, because that means nobody ever goes outside.
You go outside in a herd. You just get 50 people with shotguns walking around.
You have like a tactical squad of 3 people when you go outside, and you're all back to back to back, like rotating triangle with shotguns as you walk
There's
down
4
the
of them. Somebody duck and cover.
Oh man!
Everywhere you go, it's in a motorcycle with a sidecar and a 50 cal mounted. 50 cal would be too big. It'd be like a 20 cal mounted to it, so that you could.
That'd be awesome. What's your answer, Archaic?
A 50 cal Browning smaller than a 20 cal.
The ones that they mount on top of Humvees is what I was envisioning.
Yeah, that's a 50 cal Browning.
Okay, well, 20 cal.
20 cals in a plane. No, 20 cal's a Vulcan cannon. There is no true 20 cal. It's a 20 millimeter.
That's a 20 millimeter as opposed to a 50 millimeter. Have I got my term? Is somebody else's terminology wrong, misleading me?
They're a little backwards. 20 millimeters are like anti-aircraft weapons.
I'm familiar with the difference in caliber and millimeter. I just don't understand. That's it. Google time. Please continue while I just.
Okay. Anyways, I think I would have to go with something along the lines of maybe a black mamba, where like if it coils up, it's as big as a tank. Which it also happens to be the fastest snake in the world, which would be scary as fuck.
That would be frightening,
and it's extremely venomous.
But it could just eat you in one bite.
It would just tag you, let you run off, and you would die, and then it'd come eat you.
I think Archaic just won.
I don't know. I think by tagging,
I was either going to go with
rip your internals out because its fang is going to be so large.
That's a good point.
If you're going for large fangs, then you need to go with like the Gaboon Viper, who naturally has 3-inch fangs.
A snake the size of a tank is going to have large fangs regardless of what kind of snake it is.
Well, I'm saying though, a Gaboon Viper, 3-inch fangs can almost go through my arm. I have giant arms.
Gross.
So you're right in that people say it wrong. It's 20 millimeter. It's not a 20 caliber, and 20 millimeter is quite large.
It is much bigger than a 50 cal. It's almost 3 times bigger.
Yeah, 50 cal is a 13 millimeter, so 50 cal is almost 20 millimeters is almost double a 50 cal. And what animal did you say? Was some snake of some sort?
Black mamba.
Oh no, screw that, dude.
Actually, any venomous snake would work in this situation when they're as big as a tank.
No, because the black mamba is known for its attitude. Like if you step in the wrong place in the jungle, it will follow you home.
Yeah, it will.
This thing will follow you around until it gets you.
Yeah, it chases you.
That's bad. That's not good.
And it's fast. And can climb trees really well.
You know, the way Bondfire feels about bugs, I'm there with snakes, man. Very few of them deserve life.
I love snakes. I really do. That's one of the things as a kid I wanted to go to school was for herpetology to study snakes.
Snakes are bad. You can study them after you chop off their head.
I used to go catch rattlesnakes because I lived out in the country, so I'd catch them near my house and move them away so my mother wouldn't make me shoot them.
What are you like? Harry Potter
you should have obeyed your mother.
Like, because you talk to snakes and stuff?
No. It's not that hard to catch them.
No,
it's just,
you shoot them in the head and they just kind of lay there.
Yeah, they lay there, they'll sit there and watch you, and then you put a stick on their head, grab right behind their head so they can't turn and bite you, and you can carry them.
Never do this at home. Kids, do not do this at home.
Don't do this at home. Please don't. This is not a safe technique, but it works.
Some kid gets
this is not a proven technique.
I actually went out of...
Unless you're in Africa, then they have this thing called the black asp, and its fangs unhinge backwards out of its jaw, and it can stab you and kill you in 15 minutes.
I don't want that thing taken. I changed my answer to that thing.
That's a good reason to never go to Africa. Africa has some of the meanest snakes in the entire world. Like, dude, Australia's got bad stuff in the water. You don't go swim in Australia.
No,
I don't care about the
no.
There's on the ground too, bro.
Australia has the highest concentration of deadly snakes in the world.
That's why it was a prison camp for Britain.
Kangaroos also punch you in the face if you get close to them.
If you get to a kangaroo, just stay behind it. They can't turn.
How are you an animal expert all of a sudden? Like you've got the stats. I
love
breakdowns.
This stuff.
I mean,
I love this stuff.
If you're, now, here you go. If you're building a 3-man team for a real life League of Legends. What animals do you take? And I think that Archaic has the breakdown on what he's taking. He's like, I got a black mamba.
Let's make this a real topic and answer this. Actually, that's a good question.
You got to do 5 because that's how League of Legends rolls.
Yes. Again.
You know, you could be playing Twisted Tree Line. That's 3v3.
You're killing me. I don't know these things.
Let's go 5.
Let's go with 5.
I want to make a full meta.
Who's going top lane? Who's your tank? Who's going top lane?
My tank
is going to be a polar bear.
No, you're not allowed. Volibear's already up there.
No,
I'm thinking the way you make me play tank, it's got to be an elephant. Something you just can't stop, but actually can't do any damage whatsoever. It's got to be an elephant.
That's a good point. How about a hippopotamus? Those things are vicious.
There you go.
Okay, I'm thinking a hippopotamus is my tank. Let's see here.
All offense has got to be the snake.
I think I'll take a kangaroo in the jungle. Nice melee base damage there. Let's see, what are some other ferocious animals we could get with?
We're still going with the large size. I'm thinking bottom lane's my scorpion or Bondfire's spider.
I'll send my scorpion to the mid lane.
Everyone's taking stuff that's already in league. Y'all aren't allowed.
Stop! No, I don't care. I'll do what I want.
Dude, you came up with a polar bear. Isn't that what Chochakanu, whatever he's got?
No, that's Volibear.
You're thinking of Shogath, who's like...
No, he's a scorpion or
are these characters?
Yeah, those are real characters.
He's a void creature. He's not a grasshopper. He's a void creature.
He's an evil grasshopper with some legs that can kick. And teeth.
So there's a scorpion character in the game, though.
What about a praying mantis?
There is no praying mantis in League of Legends.
So let's
Alright, let's take a tank-sized praying mantis as my ADC.
Yeah, because they are pretty vicious whenever they actually move.
Those things are scary, man. Like, look in their eyes. They want to kill you.
Actually, nope. Timeout. Timeout. There is a praying mantis in League. Ka.
Whatever, dude.
Oh, crap. You're right.
You know way too much about League of Legends. I thought we established
How many characters are there in this League of Legends?
Like a billion?
Like 100.
I have like half of them, and I have 54.
There's
so
like
it's like
a little
Pokemon.
over 100, I think.
Is it like Pokemon where you got to catch them all?
No.
That's
is
kind
for
of the end
Archaic,
goal.
yes.
If you play over the course of several years, actually, you would like to own all of them. But
And they keep putting more out, so it's like they keep adding new additions to Pokemon.
I want Pikachu in there.
There's like 700 Pokemon right now.
Oh, really? Wow.
that's a lot.
So I gave you all advanced warning. What new random question? What are you better at than anyone else you know?
I did not get advanced warning.
I don't recall.
I remember you asking this, but I didn't think about it.
Well, that's your fault.
Knowledge of animals.
You've got more knowledge of animals than anyone else you know?
I have way more than y'all, and yes, most people I know. I don't think there's anyone I know that knows more about animals than me.
You sure got everybody on the show beat.
Like specific animals, maybe, but just like broad range of animals, I think I know more. Yeah.
Wow.
What are you better at than anyone else you know? And I had several answers, and I wrote one down, and I lost it. Now I don't know what I'm better at.
Fail.
That's
interesting.
I don't know.
I'm better at computers than anyone else I know personally.
What do you mean by computer?
Like
Just
fixing
like general...
whatever you broke. And I mean, other than like people that are dedicated in the IT field that I have, acquaintance with, if somebody in my family or in my friends or circles or whatever breaks something on their phone or computer, I can fix that most of the time. At least get them started over again. Video editing, from anyone I know personally, I am so much better than like the two other people I know that video edit.
See, every time I think of something, I can think of like one person that's better than me at it.
And no, you
Bring
did
in the
have
walls.
advanced warning because you and Oyster both got into an argument as to which one of you was the better Call of Duty player.
That's true, because you asked this last week.
Oh yeah, you asked me and Oyster that. I forgot about that.
I'm better at playing guitar than anyone I know, and I only know like 5 other. Well, crap, no, because there's a bunch of people that I'm better at guitar than any of my friends. Because I do have some acquaintances that are better than me, so I can't say that. See, that's the problem. I keep thinking of things, and then
I kind of have that problem too.
One person who's better than me at it.
Mrs. Bondfire made an appearance.
Yeah, I got a little coffee.
See, I was gonna say I'm a better musician than anyone I know, and then I was like, wait a second, there's that one kid in my jazz band, he's a beast. So that doesn't count.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I'm better with computers than anybody else I know, stealing wax answer, but then there's one guy I know who's better than me. Like, there's always one person.
I'm better at word pictures than anyone I know.
What?
Word pictures, like describing something by using a different instance.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. If you can explain something by making an analogy and drawing a really good word picture analogy from one thing to the other thing, I do that on the show a lot, or used to more than now. But where in trying to explain something, you take it all the way over to something else. We've done it with trucks several times.
Oh yeah, you do that all the time. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good.
They're always good. Sometimes you just don't understand.
You've had a few questionable ones. But,
that's because you didn't understand. I can't bring your knowledge level up to perfection.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
You insulted my intelligence. Thank you.
It's
sorry.
okay.
You know what? Actually, I just did. I am sorry. I apologize.
His isn't even at perfection because I outsmarted him with animal speak.
So you are like Harry Potter. You do speak to animals.
He's Ron, though. He can't be Harry. Look at him. He's Ron Weasley in the face all day.
I can see that.
My hair is so long.
Okay. Ron had one movie where he had long hair.
I gotta cut it off.
So it counts.
It counts.
The hair still counts.
Did everybody answer?
No, I really...
You're better at snowboarding than anybody on the show. I would go ahead and venture to say that.
Probably that, but not...
I have more knowledge of the rock and metal music scene than anyone I know. That's going to be my answer. Such a great answer.
Something.
Such a great thing to be good at.
Something. I'm
you know what?
I can't think of anything.
You know
else,
what for me is very saddening is that it took so long to try to figure out something that I was better at than anyone else that I know.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I feel like I'm above average at lots of things, but I'm not the best at anything.
I feel that way too.
Like, it's hard to be the best at something. That's a significant thing. I mean, I could say I'm the best at Call of Duty out of anybody that I know personally, but, like, what is that? That's not, like, a significance. That's just because I play Call of Duty more than everybody else I know, or played. So it's not, like, a significant skill to have.
Yeah.
I would still debate that topic because I think I'm better than you.
Personally,
you don't know him. You've never met him.
Yeah. Although I am better than you, but... You weren't you're not the person who I was concerned with.
I'm the best quickscoper in this call.
That's completely false, and that's been established.
You have ran from me on several occasions where you would not even try to play against me. I don't want to. You have lost your ability to vote in this. I
haven't run from you. You just always ask me at like 10 o'clock on weeknights. Like, really? You expect me to do that? Come on now. If we go on Black Ops 2, I'll quickscope you, because I don't know if I can do it on Ghosts.
I probably have more game knowledge than anyone I know personally.
Gaming knowledge, probably.
Yeah. So
you started to say all of you. You started to say all of you. You said, I have more game knowledge.
You know, I think that he put all of us up for a good run for our money. I would not say that I know more than Bondfire about gaming.
Oh, Bondfire definitely knows more about gaming than I do.
So I'll stick with that answer.
Except League of Legends.
What movie?
Yeah, I'll give you all League of Legends. I don't play that game.
Are we transitioning?
Sure.
What is the scariest movie that you know of? That scared you personally?
It scared me personally.
I don't really watch horror movies, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
not a
You're
big
not old
horror
enough to
movie
enter the
fan.
conversation, according to the Federal Communications Commission.
Wait, what? I missed the first part of that.
You're not old enough, according to the Federal
No.
Communications
Oh,
Commission,
yeah.
to enter into this conversation.
I'll
It's
just lay
not-
out then, I guess.
It's not a full dig. I'm just.
No, you got to come up with an answer.
It's
We
a
know
little
you've seen
twist,
these
man.
movies.
I
It's
really
okay.
don't
If you have
watch
adult-
like any.
If you have an
horror
adult
movies.
with you, you can watch them. It's okay.
That's true. That's true.
I really don't though. I really don't watch like any horror movies.
Hmm.
I've never really watched a movie that scared me that I can think of.
Really.
I'm trying to think.
I'll go first since you guys are probably.
I have no
Oh, I
answer.
think
So
I
I'm
I
gonna
have mine.
okay.
I'm gonna have to lay out of this one.
I have mine, and it happens to be one of the few horror movies I ever watched, and I was stupid for watching
Which
it.
is what?
Paranormal Activity.
Wow.
You
ahead.
have to
Elaborate.
believe in that type of stuff, though.
Go ahead. What? Explain like why.
Why? Because
Yes.
I believe very deeply in ghosts and stuff of that nature,
Okay.
and it kind of scares me.
I haven't seen the movie, so break it down.
It's been Paranormal Activity came out while I was still in high school. That was 4 years ago.
So what's it about?
What it is basically there's like this. It's a demon basically that haunts this girl, and what happens is they start having weird things going on in their house, and it's like one of those cam movies. So her boyfriend or husband, I don't know if it's boyfriend or husband or whatever, they're living together, and he's like, let's see what's going on. So he sets up a camera and basically films them while they sleep. And first of all, they sleep with their door open, which that's a little dumb. But anyways, and
I sleep
what
with my
happened-
door open.
Really? I can't. I
Like
don't
your bedroom door open, you mean?
Yeah, bedroom door open.
Yeah, I sleep with my bedroom door.
I haven't slept with my door
Me.
open since I was like 13.
Same
I
here.
sleep with my door open, but it's more for air circulation because I'm on the very end of our
Yeah.
air system, so I don't get very good airflow into my room.
Fair enough. Anyways, so they've got the camera set up, and weird things start happening, and he starts antagonizing this demon, so it obviously intensifies, and throughout the night sometimes it actually controls her, and she like does really creepy things, like she'll get up and leave, or she'll like just watch over, because obviously the demon doesn't like the boyfriend, and in the end he possesses her and she kills him, and it's creepy.
But did you just spoil like the whole series?
No, just the first one. If you haven't seen it, that's not my fault.
If
so.
it came out that long ago, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
No,
spoiler
I just want to make
alerts
sure he
on
didn't
that one.
spoil like the entire series. Like that's the end. Like he kills her. Oh, that's the end of the whole series. Like oh,
No, that's the
Oh
first
no,
one. I
they
just described the first one.
they all run on the same premise.
Yeah.
But they're slightly different.
Yeah, and I think they all tie in together. I've only seen like 2 of them, but
I watched the Wayans brothers do a spoof of it that's really good.
Did you guys see the movie Haunted House by chance?
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay, that was pretty funny. It's like a
I think it's funny that you think a movie that's funny is also his scariest.
No.
No,
It's
no,
a
no.
parody. It's a parody.
It's a parody movie.
It's a parody of it.
Okay.
It's a parody of.
I was gonna say, wow, that
They
means
just came out with the second one.
you don't watch
Dick
horror
Gabriel
movies
Iglesias
because you
is
find them
in,
as
which
comedies.
is going to be hilarious.
I could never get into those movies.
What, spoofs?
All those spoof movies,
I
like
usually don't.
I
really
love
like
those
it.
spoof
all
movies.
that whole genre. I just
Yeah.
not for me.
Spoof
what was your
movies are
pick?
funny.
Bonfire.
My pick is actually the same thing as Archaics. I didn't think anyone would pick it because I also I believe in demonic possessions, and I believe that can happen as far as being possessed, and you think like you watch like the exorcism movies and things like that, and the one I most watched recently was, I think it was like the Exorcism of Emily Rose.
That was a good movie.
It freaks me out. Like
Oh yeah.
just that stuff. You don't, for me, like you don't mess with that stuff. And
It scares
like,
me to think that might be a real thing.
It is a real thing. It's
It-
biblical that it is a real thing. It's not
if you
possible
believe in-
anymore, but it did happen at a period of time. Just
well,
like
if you
miracles.
believe in that, then yes, it happened. But
um,
not everybody believes in that.
Well,
That's-
that's-
Well,
we
like
don't
one
have to believe in
movie,
the truth. That doesn't make it not
I
true.
think
Well, it doesn't make it true if one
Insidious.
person believes in it either, but...
Has anyone seen that movie?
What movie?
Insidious? What it is? It's called Insidious, and I think it plays along with demonic possessions and things like that. It looks really freaking scary. But it's like some of those movies I won't touch. Like
The only reason I went to paranormal is I took my girlfriend there. And, you know, it's the way that you scare the shit out of them. I end up scaring the hell out of myself, so...
I've used that before. The first time I ever took a girl to any movie, it was Scream 3. So, yeah, I'm with you in that. But my wife and I actually got up and left Jeepers Creepers because we were so scared of the movie.
I remember that movie. That freaked me out too.
At the point that we left, I've seen it since then I have seen it. And the point that we left was like the pinnacle of when it's scary. Because once they show the monster, then it's not so scary anymore. And when we got up to leave was when he picked up the state trooper's head off the highway and pulled the tongue out of its mouth with his teeth. That's when we left. And at that point, it starts getting more gimmicky than actual horror.
Yeah.
So, and as far as the gore movies, I don't think they have a place
Like
in
Saw in
society at all.
those
Yeah,
movies.
Saw,
Those are- like, those
Hostel.
are just-
I tried to
don't
watch
find-
Hostel,
watch
and it was
Hostel.
so stupid. It's
I
like,
wanna
you know,
watch
this is gross
I don't
for the
find
sake
those
of being
scary.
gross.
I think the first two Saws were really good. And the reason why I think they're really good was because of the twists in them. I like movies that have things that you completely didn't see coming. So outside of the gore, I can understand, I don't like gore either, but outside of that, if it's got a good plot twist and something that just is really cool and you just did not see coming at all, I think that's cool.
I don't get that genre, though. Like, I don't see what's appealing about that
I'm with you there.
kind of movie.
I am with you there.
I don't know.
So, are we good? Are we done?
We're good.
We're
It's
done.
episode 43 of 3-Bar Exploits. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to tweet at us using the hashtag 3-Bar Exploits, and we will be able to get to your information, questions, comments, concerns on the show. Use promo code 3-Bar at Cinch Gaming to get your controller. It's the best aftermarket controller that you could possibly ever buy. And check out Strictly Business at strictlybusiness.com. Doing great things in Major League Gaming. Also, just great things for gaming in general. So go check them out on their website and then tell them we sent. Tell them we sent. Yeah,
You
tell
said
them,
it right.
I said it right. Woohoo! Tell
Yeah,
them we
first
sent
time.
you. That's all we have for you. See you next week. Thanks. Have a great day.
Woo! Sound effect not ready yet, of course, as usual.
Okay, there we go. All right. Goodbye.